everyone. Welcome back to another edition of Teenager Tuesday. We're continuing our summer series, Summer Stories, with former students. My name's Kristen Zimmerman. I'm the Student Event and Groups Director, and I'm here with Rihanna Warren from the Frisco West Campus. Hi, Rihanna.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Rihanna, correct me if I'm wrong, you're now a junior in college, right?
Yep, that's right.
But you're still connected to the students that you had when you led here at Hope for Hope students, which is awesome. We love it when that happens. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience in Hope students and volunteering as a high school student when you were attending?
Yeah, so I started on worship team and when I was probably like a freshman. And so that was a really cool opportunity because I was actually getting to serve and like on Wednesday nights, which is where I was attending. So it was kind of cool getting to pour into what I was already being poured into. And so I did that for a while. And then in my junior year of high school, I started serving in middle school groups. And by then my faith had been more like matured a little bit. And so I think I really got to learn like how to be a servant of the Lord and like practice what I've been learning all this time being poured into, like actually getting to pour into others. And so it kind of worked out because you not only get to like grow in your faith, but you get to live it out and exemplify it to others. So it was really cool.
That's awesome. How do you feel your time in Hope students shaped who you are now?
It definitely shaped a lot of my life. Like it pretty much transformed my faith and how like I go about it and how I learned about it. The experiences that I had in my small group, in my community, and my service, and like the sermons, even in like the takeovers, like all of that played such a vital role in me knowing who Jesus is and how he designed us to live this like Christian life, and like the virtues that were super important in like exemplifying and being a Christian and everything. And it was consistent. So I think that was the biggest thing, is it was consistent every week for me to know this is what it looks like. Leaders who are pouring into you day in, day out, and friends who are there for you and want you to come to them, you know?
Yeah.
And then also getting to live that out in service and like have those people pour into you, like your leaders that you're serving under. It was a whole community that like came alongside me and helped me grow and like navigate those challenges of faith with me.
That's awesome. Was there anything that was a catalyst for you to really solidify your relationship with God?
Yes. I think you know my answer. It's Region, but it was does. So Region, my little plug is Student Region. So I did that in my junior year. And that honestly, like that is the catalyst. Like I would say like my whole time at Hope really like transformed my faith, but that was like a turning point because before then, like I knew about it and like it was a solid foundation, and Region, like it was a space where I could ask like authentic questions about faith, like raw, uncomfortable, messy questions about faith and get real answers from it. And then also the application in my personal life and seeing how Jesus can transform that, like really put into perspective, like, wow, the Lord did this for me. Like he sent this down to die on the cross for me, like his son, and he restored me in that. And experiencing that and then having leaders who were able to guide me through that, and then the testimonies of the students, like actually hearing from other people, like you're not alone, like you're not the only one who's been through this, you know, that completely changed the game for me because I heard testimonies, but they were always from adults and it was like their life was already figured out by then. But these teenagers, like they were still admitted to the fact that they were still growing through it, and that just like changed the course for me. And so it really transformed how I saw faith and what it really meant to have faith, like in those trials, in those seasons, and like in those hard situations where it seemed like nothing was working, and in the messy, uncomfortable sin that like I struggled with, like that all came clear, and the Lord's love was so gracious through that.
Yeah.
And in the community, like I found some of my best friends there too. So it was like crazy because it just completely transformed like my idea of faith and how to live it out and how to like actually embrace what the Lord has like given me. So
I love Regen too, by the way.
yeah.
Just so you know. So you've been a student, a leader in middle school groups, and after high school, you started volunteering Wednesday nights here at Hope. What did you learn from those experiences that you took with you to college, and how do you use that to continue to grow your relationship with God now?
Okay, so I learned like some like key things, like obedience. Being obedient to like my calling and being obedient to where the Lord was guiding me to, Because I when I was leading, like it was not fair to them if I wasn't going to be obedient to the Lord myself, you know? And so I made that my goal to like consistently be obedient to the Lord, and live my lifestyle as a reflection as if those students were watching me. Because I wanted to give them a good example that it's not always going to be pretty, but it's consistent. And so that was a big thing. And then consistency was the next thing of like, not only being consistent and showing up for them, but showing up for myself and being consistent for Jesus. So like really having to put that into focus, because once you like left high school and like you didn't have that youth ministry, like I had to find it on my own. Right. And so yes, I was still connected to this youth ministry, but it wasn't the same because I had to do it myself. And so really pouring out the consistent time to be intimate with Jesus, and carve that out and then figure him out for myself, because I didn't have those leaders. I still had them, but I had to really navigate that on my own. And they taught me so much too. Like the Lord was still ministering to me through that whole process. And also just the commitment to it, like being wholeheartedly committed to the Lord. And when you exemplify that, like they see that. And so that was like my biggest push, is like I wanted them to see what a wholehearted follower of Jesus looked like. And so I committed to myself to continue to do that, even if I wasn't there to lead them, that they still saw that in my actions when I returned. And that if anything, it just had gotten stronger because I was in an environment that fostered that growth and that learning, and to become more of just like a wholehearted like follower of Jesus that wants nothing but to further his kingdom. And I wanted them to see that and see that they can do that in their own homes as well.
Yeah, that's so good. Quick question. At what point did you decide that you wanted to change your major to ministry, and why?
Okay, so I was actually out of high school. It was at the Movement Conference in 2023, so it's just last year in February. So I'd been leading those girls for like a couple months now, like all the fall semester, and like I really loved it, which I guess that should have been a key sign, but it wasn't. I had loved it, and like I knew I had to start figuring out where I wanted to go, for real for college, because community college wasn't gonna work like the whole time. And we went to a member conference, and I remember Will Perry was preaching a message about like grabbing onto like that thing that seemed uncomfortable, right? And so I'm like praying to the Lord. I'm like, yes, Lord, like let them speak to these girls, like have them grab hold. And like he was asking us, like walking us through an altar like exercise almost, and just telling us to picture like that one thing that we know we probably should go after, but we just haven't. And like the word ministry was just so clear in my mind. Wow. And I just remember like it so vividly. And I remember being the Lord, like, I don't know, like, if this is for me. Like, I love you so much, and I want to go after your calling, but I think I don't know if you're the right person, right? And so, but he was so for me. He was like, just grab hold of it and like see what happens, you know? And so I was like, okay, Lord, like, how am I going to be obedient and ask them to be obedient and not myself? And so I just grabbed hold of it. And then it was like very freeing, because afterwards it was like there was so much peace and there was so much confirmation, like literally weeks and weeks after, like so much confirmation that this is what he wanted for me, like the purpose he wanted for me. And it like kind of all made sense because it was so unexpected, but it really came full circle, and the Lord worked that out in his goodness, and like it's been so redeeming ever since then. So
can you tell us what you are currently doing to continue your relationship with God, and what you're doing to continue what you've taken from Hope students, what you've learned as a leader and as a student, and to pour into the next generation where you currently are, because you're currently kind of running a youth ministry where you are. So can you tell us just a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I have just like made it my mission to be authentic in my walk with Jesus, and take what my leaders have shown me, because I've spent a lot of years in youth ministry and I've seen a lot of things and I've encountered a lot of things, and taking those lessons, because like the leaders I had, they were great and they were authentic, and I really like valued that. And so really taking what they taught me, but also letting the Lord minister through every moment in that. So like allowing room for him to move, because I always thought it had to be like in a service, but like he invites you, like we invite him to everything, and he can move in everything. And so truly like inviting him into every space, and pursuing his mission and letting that play out how he wants it, like taking those lessons, taking the curriculum, taking what my like education is teaching me, and my experiences, like using those to like glorify him, but also using those to like show teenagers they're not alone. Like all they want to know is that they belong, and that they feel and that seen, and like that they feel like they have purpose. And hearing from someone who's like closer in their age, but also has walked through those same things and like has a testimony to it, it kind of changes the game. And so being authentic in that, but also holding truth to that, like holding still to that secret place.
Yeah.
And that like inevitably flows out of you when you're consistent in that, I've found. And so when I was consistent to holding to that secret place and like coming back to it, it really just showed, like, it paved the way. And my leaders, like the consistency in youth ministry, like taught me that.
That's
through
awesome.
all thing. Yeah.
One more question. If you could tell parents who are on the fence about the importance of Hope students, what would you say to them?
I would say just dive in, like if you want your kid to like be wholeheartedly in Jesus and know him, like just push for that, like follow in that obedience, because he calls us to go and make disciples.
Yeah.
And I at Hope Students, I found so much consistency in the leaders who showed up every day to pour into these students, and the sermons who were practical, but the consistency of them starts to like settle in, and so just choosing to be obedient and like following Matthew 11:28, where it says go and make disciples, and having consistency here, because once a week, like it can become more, like once a week can become twice a week and keep going, but choosing to like kind of push them into that a little bit, they can find community, they can find practical things. It might not take the first couple years, but after that it will get more and more and more. And I really think if also just praying about it and letting the Lord minister to you in that, like he can change the game, I think. So
are you still involved with your students and like your, I guess, students from your small group and your leaders from when you were in high school?
Yes, I am. Yeah. So I am some of my best friends I had a senior small group with, and like they are like my ride or dies, and we are so strong in our faith and we navigate it. And then my leaders, Kristen, you were my leader, number one. So I am still like in contact, and even my region leaders, like I'm still in contact with them. They still have a lot of influence in my life, and especially my region leaders, like in my decision of going to college, like they were like so big in that. And my small group girls that I had, still talk to them, going to camp with them this year. Like even it wasn't always as consistent as it was, but there was still consistency in that I was making myself available to be there for them, so that they could express what they needed to express. And it was different, but the Lord still ministered in that, and it was really cool to see, honestly.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, Rihanna, thank you so much for taking time to be with us today. We miss you, and we're glad that we have you for the summer, and so for summer camp, we're excited. So that wraps up today's episode. As always, parents, remember, you can do this. You are not alone. God is with you, and so are we.